Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Indie Zone. My name is Kathy. Judge Stephen J. Hippler has recently rendered his third order relative to unsealing, potentially, of documents that were under seal in the case for the months of January, February, and March 2025. In this third order, seeking parties' position regarding sealed documents filed for you to review on the court docket on the 16th of October 2025, asking once again, as he did with the first and second order, regard to the third batch of sealed documents identified below. The court requires the parties to indicate their position on these documents. They have to do so within 14 days of the date of the filing of this order. Now, what is it here that's being up for consideration for being unsealed? What I wanted to focus on is the in limine related materials. I think that this is so important. This was the briefings for the motions in limine. You're going to see here a number of items that reference either the motion in limine, the response in opposition to the motion in limine, or the reply. And what the reply replies to is the response. Let's take a moment and just refresh as to what a motion in limine is. A motion, as you know, is an application or a request for Judge Hippler to enter an order, granting the party who's filing the motion what they're asking for. In limine means that they're asking for this ruling on these issues pre-trial. In this case, with the parties having butted heads so much, if it went to trial, I would imagine there would have been a lot of objections. So what they're doing is they're coming before the court, or they did, while there was still a trial date that was pending, and filed their motions in limine. And by the way, this was a deadline that was set that the motions in limine were supposed to be filed in February of 2025. That's where you're going to find them all. And that was by operation of an order that was rendered by Judge Stephen J. Hippler. They just didn't decide willy-nilly to file these motions in limine at this time. Let us take a look at what some of these in limine motions mean. Here we see number 92, March 26, 2025, Defendants Exhibit 1A in support of affidavit and objection to state's motion in limine regarding text messages and testimony. I believe that many people in the public would be very interested to find out what was filed under seal regarding text messages. Here we see, basically, if you were to go to March 26, 2025, you're going to see that the defense filed a motion to file this under seal. Exhibit 1A is what's filed under seal. There was a state's motion in limine regarding text messages and testimony that was filed in February. The defense here comes back and files an opposition as their response. And what they want is 1A to have been filed under seal from the public. The briefings go motion, response, reply. The motion is the initiating paper, application for a court order. The response replies to the motion. Judge, don't grant this relief. Then comes back the party who filed the motion. They don't get to re-argue, or they shouldn't, their entire motion or introduce new things not contained in the original motion. They get to reply to the response. So the briefings, motion, response, reply, then ruling. And those rulings happened following oral argument. There was a long marathon day, April 7th, 2025, in Boise, where the court entertained multiple in limine proceedings. In some instances, he made rulings from the bench. In others, after the hearing, he submitted court orders on these in limine motions. There's one here, 115, the response to defendants in limine motion, number 14, regarding statistical analysis. Then we see 122, March 17th, 2025. These are the exhibits number 1 and 2 to the defense's objection, response, opposing the state's motion in limine regarding text messages and testimony. The next one has to do, 123, psychiatric evidence and psychological evaluation. But let's go on to the next page because there's a couple here that are real important, I think. And here it is, 124. March 25th, 2025. It's Exhibit 1 to defendant's objection to state's motion in limine regarding the 911 call under seal. I think that many members of the public are looking forward, hopefully, to seeing this Exhibit 1. Anything having to do with the 911 call seems to have captured the public's interest in this case. Then there's another matter regarding in limine. This is the March 17th, 2025 defense objection to state's motion in limine regarding self-authentication of certain records. And if we go down, we see some additional in limine proceedings. 139, February 25th, 2025. These are exhibits in support of motion in limine regarding witness identification by bushy eyebrows. Very controversial issue in the case, in my opinion. And then, speaking of controversy, 141 is the February 24th, 2025, exhibits 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 in support of motion in limine regarding excluding IGG evidence. And again, IGG DNA was such a hotly contested issue in this case. There were multiple months of activities on the court docket regarding discovery requests, motions to compel, hearings, court orders as to IGG DNA evidence, only for the defense and the state to go into an agreement that IGG would not even be referenced at the trial. And we went over the reason why defense made that decision in a recent episode of the Indie Zone. If you have not yet had an opportunity to watch it, I recommend that you do. 141, February 24th, 2025, Exhibit 1 in support of motion in limine regarding excluding the Amazon click activity evidence at trial. And this had to do with the purchase, the alleged purchase of the K-bar, the sheath, and the sharpener that the state has alleged Mr. Kohberger purchased and was sent to his home in Pennsylvania during 2022 before he moved across the country to Washington State to work at and study at the university, at Washington State University there. And then there's more in limine motions here that you can see here, the originating motions. So we were going to continue to keep you posted as to when these responses by both sides hit the docket and ultimately when the court issues orders. Hopefully, if these in limine filings, the motions, the responses, and the replies are unsealed, it will hopefully lead to some answers that I know many of you have regarding what exactly happened during this case. Why was Mr. Kohberger charged, and why was he charged as the sole defendant in the case? And other materials going to the evidence that the state of Idaho indicated that they had against him that they felt would meet the beyond a reasonable doubt evidentiary standard, much of which remains under seal from the public. Even today, 3.5 months since Mr. Kohberger pled guilty, as he did on July 2nd, 2025, thereby canceling the jury trial. If you have any comments, any thoughts, any opinions, please leave them here. Until next time, this is Kathy. Thank you very much for joining us here today.